Hi folks, the name is impromptu. I'm the founder of an organization called Empowerment, This Is It, which organization is a social entrepreneurship organization. It has to do with a lot of things. I think the name Empowerment explains itself. It's self-explanatory, and what we intended to do here is to empower our social stratas, empower social organizations and everyone else who is in society. And within Empowerment, This Is It, we've got different other ventures. And today I want to speak about one venture that is more important at this stage, which is called Intelligent Trips. Intelligent Trips, which is under the aegis of Empowerment, This Is It. It's an organization or a venture that seeks to take school kids or anybody else, but for now it's gearing itself up to ensuring that school kids do go to places that matter. By this I mean everyone drinks from, well, at least most people drink from a glass. If drinking their cold drinks or their liquor or anything else. But then again, a lot of people don't know where or how the glass that they're drinking liquor from is made out of. If I were to say to you right now, the glass that you're drinking from or using to drink your cold drink or your liquor or anything else, it's made out of sand called silica sand and ash. You'll say to yourself, that's not true. But that is the truth. That's a fact, that silica sand is part of the ingredients that makes a glass. So today in our country, surely we're talking about unemployment rates that are skyrocketing every day. We hear of people saying, or government saying, so many thousands of people are going to be laid off from their jobs. And we worry about such things. So we want to do something about it. We don't want to stop about worrying and start doing something about it. And we saw that even if we were to do that, we will have lost the war if we don't start doing something about the children who are at grade 10, 11, and 12. And we want to start from the rudiments. We want to start from the bottom up, so that when our kids visit places like Johannesburg Zoo or your Gold Reef cities and places like those, they don't have to just go there for fun only, although fun is part of it, but they have to go there and get to some other places that matter. If you take kids to go to places like where a company makes tools and things like those, you will be inculcating in the minds of those kids something much more powerful than taking them just to a zoo, because not everybody is going to be a zoologist or will be interested in documentaries about animals and things like that. But most of them, if not all, will be happy to go there, but come back home and not know what sort of career they're going to take or they want to take. So we want to take kids to all those places that matter, show them everything that is there to be shown. I have met with people from different sectors or industries who said our staff or our workforce is aging, meaning that people who are working for them are growing old and there's no one to replace those people. And then why no one to replace those people? Because most of the people that were working there did something like arithmetics in those days, or mathematics, but today we're finding that South Africa, in about 184 countries in the world, South Africa is the last country that is rated the last country in mathematics and science. And to me, it's an indictment to our organization with all the infrastructure that we have in South Africa. Everybody envies, okay, almost everybody in the other countries, especially maybe in the third world, envies South Africa with all its infrastructure. But we're not having this quality education that we always talk about, and we spend so much in it. The biggest budget in South Africa today is on education. But what sort of education are we getting? We're getting education that is not preparing our kids to go out there and do something powerful, like creating jobs, like innovation, like creating products, like inventing products. We're creating kids or rearing kids that are going to look for jobs. And when jobs are not there because investors are not coming on board, because we have all these troubles that we have in our country, we need to come up with something that is going to be substantial, and something that's going to be substantial has to be hinged or based on something that is more mathematical and scientific, and something that will make our kids to think broadly, to think laterally, and that's where empowerment, this is it, through its wing called Intelligent Trip, is doing. So what we're doing right now, we started last year by taking one child from a school in Venda called Rachibvumo School, and the young boy is called Andani Kwinda. We took him because he sort of bamboozled all the kids in his area, in his circuit, and because of the high marks that he got at matric, we took him as an incentive to Dubai, Hong Kong, and China. He went to China, got excited, and became a celebrity. Today, Andani Kwinda is one serious young boy who was, at that time before we met him, was naughty, and the teacher said he was a worst case scenario. So today he's turned around, he wants to do something better. He's doing a BA accounting in the University of Venda, but we said no, this thing does not have to end there. It has to go further, more than this one. We then went on to Mankweng and got one child called William Sekgobela from a school called Mahongwana, and the young man is at matric now, but he was at grade 11 when we got him, and he's going to accompany us to go to Hong Kong and China on the 16th of March this month. And then he's going to be getting excited. We're going to take him to the schools in China to be exposed to the other world, and see how it is that the other schools and universities are doing things. And at the same time, we embarked on a take a black child to university. At Univen, we found that there are kids who are not able to pay for their school fees, and we tried our level best to make sure that some of them do register, at least to go to university. And that is it. That is the thing that is at the core of our business. So what we did, we sold our books through them. They went around and sold the books at 100 rands, and they got 40 rands out of it. So 40% it's what they got out of every sale that they got. Today they are registered and they are going to school. We are excited about that. Now we want to excite even more. A lot of people need to be coming back onto this reading mentality. A lot of people are not reading today, and that is why if you're not reading, you're not informed. If you're not informed, then, as they say in English, I think there's a saying that goes, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed person is king. So we don't want you, or either one of you that's watching this clip, to be a blind person, because we need people in our land, in our country that we love so much, to go on there and make things happen. South Africa has got to be a beehive of activity, and that's what we believe in. We want to make sure that people become alive. Our institutions, our schools become alive. I've met with a lot of kids, students or learners from different schools as I went about motivating the kids in the streets, not necessarily in the classrooms or places like those, and I've seen the hunger in the eyes of kids. But then the hunger that they have and the spirit that they have and the power within them that they have, it does not have any direction. So we need to come around and say, here we are, we want to make sure that the spirit and the energy that the kids have it's directed towards something much more substantial and much more profitable for the country, not only for themselves, but also for the country. When I went to a place in Philippines, I met with some children whom I thought maybe they just in a bookshop looking at books, or maybe just while awaiting time. And I asked them the question, why is it that you are at a bookshop when the schools are closed? And what they said to me was amazing, and I felt a bit embarrassed. And being a South African, they said to me, does it mean that you in South Africa only go to bookshops when the schools are opened? We in the Philippines, we buy books anytime and every time when we want to read. So which means in your country, somehow something is wrong. And my mind just raced back to South Africa. And I saw lots of bookshops in South Africa, like the one that I saw at that time when I was at Maponya Mall. The bookshop was closed because people were not frequenting the place to go and buy books. And you look around the malls that are being built today, most of the malls don't have bookshops. And that has to make us wonder, why is it like that? It is because we are losing grip of something much more powerful, which is information. And information for school kids and information for people who want to do things can be found in our libraries, which we don't even go to. We complain maybe as society and say, government or magistrate or whoever build us libraries, but we hardly go to those libraries to do any reading. The only time you see the libraries being full to capacity is when we're writing exams. But before then, no, everybody is in the streets doing his thing. We at Empowerment, this is it, through our wing company, Intelligent Trips, we want to change all of that. And we're asking you to come along with us as we do that. So I was telling you earlier on, before I went on this bus or this train, of being angry about the whole thing. And I was telling you about the trips that could be undertaken by children, by school kids, and the principals and their teachers. So we, as I said before, are taking other kids to Dubai, Hong Kong, and China as an incentive for them to study hard. And we can see the fruits that have been shown today. And kids are saying to themselves, we want to do something about this thing. We want to study hard so that we end these trips. For me, I'm happy that even if they want to end the trip, at least indirectly, they're doing something about themselves, about their lives. So what we're doing here is to try and get the schools to come on board and understand what we want to do and buy into our program. And that program will make sure that schools or school children, at least, number one, don't come late at school. Number two, they dress properly. Number three, they behave well, they write their homeworks. That program will make sure that that thing happens. So if schools and school principals and schools authorities do come on board and buy into this thing, we will make this thing happen. So another one that it's there, it's going to come out just after we come from China on the 26th. We're going to embark on something called the Riddles competition. And Riddles competition, it's as clear as daylight. You buy 4 books. Some of the books you will see on the clip. You buy 4 books. When you buy 4 books, you only read 2 chapters in that book. 2 chapters only. It's not hard, just 2 chapters. Meaning that you'll be reading 8 chapters only, and you can enter into what is called Riddles competition. Now let me give you an example as to how Riddles competition goes. You read the 2 chapters in a book, you enter into competition and say, I can explain what those chapters are all about. You come to a hall at your place, at your local hall, and you stand in front of a panel of judges, much like you see on idols, singing idols, where you see Randall and the likes and Somizo and other people there. So you stand up, just in front of them, and explain the chapters. That's all we need. You explain those chapters and you come up with your own take on the chapters. We will be giving you marks or points on them, and if you happen to be the one who's on top, or those that are going to be on top, depending on how many books that there are going to be sold, we will then take you to Dubai, Hong Kong, and China. You don't have to spend thousands and thousands. I heard the other day, and I know that because I do a lot of traveling as well. I know that if you're undertaking a trip to go to at least maybe Dubai, Hong Kong, and China, you won't spend less than 32,000. I mean, those are 3 countries. But we're saying to you right now, you only have to buy those 4 books, which are going to cost only 500 rand, 499. Shy of a rand, it's going to be 500 rands. And all what you need to do is to read and explain what they say and come up with your own take on them. And then you end the trip to go to Dubai, Hong Kong, China. The trip to go to Dubai, Hong Kong, China, as you can see here, it's called 9 days of fun. It's going to be fun, but the fun, it's much more than the fun that you know about. We're not going to be jitterbugging and jiving and all sorts of things. Maybe we'll do part of that. But you're going to be on a tour that's going to make you more empowered than you are right now. When you come back to South Africa, we guarantee you that you will have changed your mind in terms of looking at other people and be xenophobic, 1. Number 2, you will start to say, I want to start making or doing or starting my own business. And that's much more important today. I'm not saying that everybody in the country is going to be a business person, but yes, most of us need to start doing something ourselves. Today, when people in the mines are being chucked out, 12,000 people are laid off. Just imagine, can you just imagine how many families are affected by that? It's a lot of families. 12,000 people chucked out from the mines. And the government will be running up and down trying to discuss or to make sure that the mining bosses don't do that. They will be literally begging them. We want to get out of that kind of mentality of begging these companies. Why don't we start something ourselves? I mean, we can do that. Why do the Chinese do that? Why do all these other companies, these other countries do that? We can also do those things ourselves. We have to look inside ourselves and get into ourselves. Education, the word education comes from not Italian, it's, what is that thing? I forgot the thing, but it comes from the word educare or maybe educare. It means taking from within you, taking something out of you. So education should not be something that's pumped into you. It's something that it's inside you, but it's been taken out of you to be revealed outside. So it has to be like that. We have to go out there and reveal and take out what we have inside us and take out into the world. Innovate, come up with things, create products. If we don't create products not only for ourselves, not only for the world, we can also create products for ourselves internally here in South Africa and make use of them ourselves and not depend on stuff that comes from somewhere else and come to us. When I was in Ghana, I saw that almost everything that they have in Ghana, even a box of a stick of matches, they importing it from China. And that to me said, no, it cannot be like that. We have the best infrastructures in South Africa. Why can't we make use of these things? Another thing, and I know that maybe it will make other people mad and crazy about me saying that, but I really don't mind saying it. When our kids are taken to something called ESCOM Expo, Science Expo, those ones who will be given maybe the certificates and the money and stuff like that to show that they are recognized for their efforts or for having invented something. For me, I think that they are being shortchanged, or we're shortchanging ourselves. Because if that child could come up with something that you think it's so powerful, why don't you go the whole hog and make sure that that thing is patented and that thing is produced. Why can't we do that? It doesn't make sense to me. So it means that you're just giving that child the money and say, go and see for yourself. And the kids cannot do anything. Patenting costs are too high. The government has got to do something about this thing. And the companies that are doing this thing, ESCOM and the other ones, they've got to stand up and do something. We are faced today with power cuts and things like that. Gladly, I can say it now, we don't see these power cuts today, but why don't we, are we only looking at solar system? I believe that there's another way of doing things. There's another way that we can take all the schools out of the grid, and we have that thing. And we're not doing it because we are not coming out together. We're not starting from the grassroots, which is the schools. And if we start from the grassroots, which is the schools, we can make it happen. Nothing to me or to us is much more important than seeing our country progressing. Nothing. I'm patriotic, we are patriotic, you are patriotic. It's time for us to stand up now and make it count. It cannot just be a patriotism that is lip service based. It has to be patriotism that is work and action based. And you there, viewer, who's viewing these things or watching this thing or listening to me from all sorts of places, please, let's start doing something. I'm saying these things slowly and intoning because I need you to know that this is at the crux of the matter. Our country needs us to do something about the status that we are in right now. We cannot always be begging for other people from other countries. As much as we need them, as much as they help them, we love them. Obviously they are maybe our partners and things like those, but it's up to us. Somebody said one day, black men, you are on your own. And I'm emphasizing that again. We Africans or South Africans, no more black, white, whatever, as long as your heart it's in South Africa, we are on our own. If we don't stand up and do something, we'll always be begging for someone to give us something, and we cannot do that. We are in here together. We will sink or we will float together. If we don't work together towards making sure that the education system of our country it tops, if we don't put to action whatever it is that we're thinking in our minds and we do nothing about that, we really are doing ourselves a disservice. And we at Intelligent Trips want to take your kids. If you're parents and you're watching this thing, we want to take your kids to places that matter. We want to create of your kids or in your kids that spirit of wanting to create things, to instill the spirit of doing things about products. If you read, if you're a person of the Bible, I'm not a pastor, but I can say something about such things. You read some text in the Old Testament where the Philistines have been put the Israelites, or the Hebrews as they were called, the Hebrews under the hammer. They were under them. They ruled over the Israelites or the Hebrews. They said, as the council of the Philippines, let the Hebrews go and worship their gods and do anything they want. They can go and jive and do everything that they want, but let there be no one in Israel found to be a blacksmith. Now, what is a blacksmith? A blacksmith today, we could say, is a tool maker, is a scientist, and all these things. Let there be no one found to do that, because if they do that, if the Hebrews could be, more of the Hebrews could be blacksmiths, they will make weapons and turn against us and overpower us. So today, people are saying mathematics and science are subjects that are very hard and too hard and whatever, and our kids are discouraged from going through that. I tell you today, if you don't do anything about that, and you keep on pumping or playing that kind of record or song, we are actually saying to our country, stay where you are at 184. And that's not where South Africans are supposed to be. We can do it better. We have organized the best World Cup in South Africa, in the world during 2010. Not even the one that was in Brazil can surpass it, because we did that under pressure. We did that under circumstances that people from the whole world said we cannot do it. Brazil could have done it before. I think they did it before. We were doing it for the first time in Africa. Why can't we take the very same steam and do what we can do about these things? Our kids today are looking at us and saying our parents should do something about it. Of course, we as parents have got to do something. Generations to come are going to laugh at us, and they're going to ridicule us and say our parents did nothing about the freedom that they had. What you have to think about and remember is that freedom, it's never free. And today, we've got to do something about this thing. We've got to stand up. We as empowerment, this is it. If you check, and I'm ending right now, if you check our website, which is www.empowermentthisIsit, one word, www.empowermentthisIsit.co.za. You'll see some of the products that we have come up with, and we know, we don't only believe, we know that jobs can be created. Jobs, plenty of jobs can be created. If I say to you right now, we can create 24,000 jobs, people will say, no, they are crazy. Yes, of course. They said it to people like Mark Zuckerberg. They said it to people like Edison, who started the lights and things like that. They said they were crazy. The Wright brothers were said to be crazy when they started with the aeroplane. We are said to be crazy. If we cooperate as South Africans and become one, we can make these things happen. We can make them happen if we concentrate on being solely blacksmith. We can create, there are many kids around our schools who are excellent at mathematics or any other thing that they want to do, but they are not unapt. We want to take those kids and make sure that they're exposed to other countries. We're taking, as I've said before, the excellent students, or even though those that are said not to be excellent, we want to take them to those countries and expose them to those countries that a lot of people love so much. We want to take them to those places only if the education systems or the schools and the government bodies do come on board and take our program. We will show it to you, and then if you take it, our students are going to excel and do very well and make our country proud. Somebody said, who's the president of this country, we can always do better if we do it together. And I'm emphasizing it today and saying we can only do it better if we come together. We can't do it together if we don't come together. If we are in our places and scattered about, we cannot do it together. The zebras will come together, heads, and they will turn against the enemy and lock, not horns, they will knock their heads and stuff like that, and they will kick. Anything that comes behind them, they will kick, because they will have locked themselves like this. So if we lock ourselves like this as South Africans, at school, at the SGPs, the principals, and whatever, please, let's do that. Once we do that, we will make it. That is not only a belief, that is the truth. That is a fact. Thank you for listening. And thank you for